The annealer will come out of the package with the torch holders in this position. There are two different positions for the actual holder bars, which we'll show you later. The first thing you need to do is to loosen these screws and adjust the angle of the torch holders to be in line with the holes. We'll attach torches in a moment and show you approximately how that has to be done. The first thing you want to do to set up your torches after you clamp them in the holders is to adjust the height of the holders so that the torches are roughly a ½ inch above the level of the table. A good rough way to start this is to place the bottom of the holder roughly even with the table. Once you put in your cartridge casings, you'll adjust the torches so that the majority of the flame is playing on the neck itself. This is just showing from a more profiled view the direction of the torches and the height of the torch holders being just slightly above the level of the table. Next, put your brass, but in this case it's 308 and we're using the yellow coated holes, into the holder. Loosen the adjustment screws on the bottom and then raise the lower plate slowly until you have roughly a1/4 inch of the shoulder sitting above the plate. This will act to help guide the brass and also act as an excellent heat sink. Tighten the screws on the side and then we're ready for the next step. The final adjustments of the torch holders is to position the flame to be roughly at the case neck junction. The center of the flame should be roughly pointing at the case neck junction. The angle of these is adjusted such that maximum flame comes across the rotating table, covering on average 3 to 5 holes. I'm going to turn the annealer on so you can see the cases moving across in front of the torches, and then we'll show you how to begin the annealing process. The final setup of the annealer is just to make sure the temperature is right. I've set up 3 scrap 308 cases. The first 2 have 750-degree tempillac, which is the bluish color. It's both about a 1/4 inch below the shoulder on the inside of the neck, which you can't see. And over here, the pale one is 800-degree tempillac, which is again in the same position on the shoulder and inside the neck. I generally like to set the annealer up so that the 750 melts completely and that the 800-degree tempillac does not melt. Keep in mind this is a rotary annealer, so at the point at which the tempillac melts, the cartridge is still in the flame for for roughly ½ a second longer. During that time it continues to heat. Under these conditions I find the best annealing both by the spring test, which we'll show you, and also by accuracy on the range. The first 2 cases that are going to go through have been marked with the 750-degree tempillac. This will just melt as it exits the flame. The third case is marked with 800-degree tempillac. Once the annealer is set up, at this point, if you don't change anything, you don't need to make any more settings, and you can just drop cases in and continue annealing as long as your torches remain strong. I generally do somewhere between 200 and 500 cases a session. And now we're going to show you annealing with the bushings. These are used for magnum cases. In this case I'm using a 7mm Winchester short mag. Pretty much everything is set up as before. We put in the bushings. In this case they're in the red colored marked spots. We adjust the flame, in this case to be just above the level of the bushing, which should still put the middle of the flame in the neck shoulder junction. We set up with Templac, which I've already done, and then we just start annealing cases. The final way to check your annealing is what's known as the pinch test, and you'll do this three ways. You'll start with a new piece of brass, and you're going to adjust a pair of vice grips until it just touches. After that, you're going to go roughly a quarter to a half a turn, and you're going to squeeze the brass to get a feel for how easily it crushes and the amount of how quickly it will rebound back. Next, compare to your annealed brass, do the same test. They should feel roughly the same. Obviously, this is not a very quantitative technique. We hope to offer a more quantitative tool, but right now this vice grip pinch test is all that we have. The final thing that you should do at least once to get a feel is take a piece of brass, heat it until it glows in order to destroy it, so that you have a feel with your pinch test what over-annealed or destroyed brass feels like. So once this starts to glow, we're going to take it out of the flame, let it cool down. So this is the piece of brass that we heated until it turned red. You can see that it crushes with very little force. It's soft. Once you've done this test, it's highly recommended that you destroy the brass completely so you don't accidentally throw it back in your reloading kit.